Hey everyone, Lady Ox again. Looks like I got another really quick indie game review for you guys. This little horror game is called Mundaun. This creepy horror game puts you in the shoes of a man named Curtin, played in first person from his perspective. Many elements of this game are enjoyably familiar to that of Amnesia, but the most noticeable part of the game, it's all done entirely in this hand-drawn, penciled style. Complete with the scratchy, scribbly quality of drawings, completely in grey, black and white colour tones. It doesn't come across too much like a drawing though, it's more like the textures are on top of 3D models and backdrops. The feel of this game is immediately unsettling in a way that only indie horror games can be. What I think is in part due to how simplistic and fairly basic in design they are. A little bit of jank, and being in a foreign language, that's what makes it so much more unnerving and strange, just the way I like it. So the story goes something like this. Curtin received word that his grandfather Florin has passed away in a tragic accident. The priest of Mundaun wants Curtin to return to the parish, a far-off and remote settlement with only a handful of residents, a place lost in time. Curtin hasn't been back to the mountain village in a very long time, but senses something strange about the priest's letter. Most of the spoken voice dialogue in this game is all in what I believe to be Swiss, but to me it had this really strange sound to it, more like this forgotten dialect of German, Italian and Latin mixed together. Super creepy when you combine it with these strange religious customs of this isolated township. Curtin talks and interacts with everything around him, commenting on something he sees, something he is holding, moving, or things that catch his attention. Stopping and zooming in on something, sucking your view in like you're being drawn into some horrible vision. The first sign that things aren't alright, well, it's this grotesque, writhing and deforming painting, just waiting to suck Curtin in and show him events of the past. A lot of Mundaun's storytelling is done in this way. Drawings, paintings, or scribbles that pull you into another time or place, coupled with perfectly terrifying atmospheric sound. You walk into the painting and the ground shifts you to the ground inside. A man stands painting Curtin's grandfather's cabin as it burns. Curtin sees his grandfather trying to crawl from the cabin and is suddenly greeted by the game's villain, the old man. I swear I have seen this ghastly demonic character before, possibly in some other game, or just part of real folklore. He wears the form of a hunched old man in a black suit and hat who walks with a cane. Close to this creature's face, you can tell he isn't at all human, just masquerading as one. His distorted face distorting and forming in strange ways each time he moves or speaks. All the more unsettling because he looks like some nightmare scribblings of a madman come to life. This man is old, ancient, known to those in the surrounding mountains, a thing to be feared. Strange things are afoot, and it's this demonic persona who is responsible. Curtin wakes back in the real world and discovers his hand has become all deformed and shriveled. Touched by the old man, it's done something to him. Whenever something of danger nears, or if Curtin comes close to hidden objects, his left hand starts to curl his fingers backwards and wriggles, kind of a bit like salad fingers. So now you start to begin putting everything together and gradually uncovering new game mechanics and tools as you progress through the game. The first thing you get is your journal, a place to write down everything you need to remember, clues, things you need to find, or stuff you need to do. You can find high vantage points and draw the area to use as a map or guide to your surroundings. Any notes or scraps of paper you find you can put into the journal for reference later if needed. Looking on the back of the pages, you can find hidden clues or scribbles to decipher. Wandering around this small mountain village, you begin to start finding objects that you can store in your inventory. Not everything you find has a clear use to start with, and even items like ammunition aren't used till later in the game. For now, you need to start collecting keys and exploring everywhere so you can find your first objectives. A good place to start is Curtin's grandfather's house. Inside, after turning on all the lights and making sure something horrible isn't lurking around in there, you pick up some useful items. A pot, matches, some wood, a cup, and some coffee. Filling the pot up with water at the nearby well, returning to the house and loading the stove up with wood, you can start boiling some coffee. Coffee is actually one of the 3 stat building items. When drunk, you gain a little bit more courage. This helps when Kerbin is facing something that scares him, making him a little bit braver and able to withstand disturbing sights. The other 2 are food for health upgrades and a rifle manual to improve your firearm handling skills. The coffee boosting skill I liked in particular, not really because of its benefits, more because it gave me this little side task of always being on the lookout for wood and coffee, stopping by or returning to a place I knew where there was a stove. Most of the buildings that you find will be your safe rooms, with a bed to sleep in should you need to sleep the night terrors away to progress into the next day of the story. Closing doors will block out anything that might happen to be a threat. Turning on lights will help you see inside, looking for any clues, items, or puzzles you need to unlock. Heaps of objects are able to be interacted with, trying to find some solution or use for them. Opening up drawers and cupboards, finding secret pathways to hidden goodies, even secret events or memories as well. Scattered throughout the town are 1 or 2 strange locals, not much help either. One being a mute girl with goats following her, honestly the creepiest thing in the game. Then there is the priest. Dude's terrified of some dark goings on and is no help at all. On the first night on the mountain hills of Mundaun, that's where everything starts going to shit. Ghastly straw men creatures start to roam the mountainside, their gaze wandering back and forth trying to seek a victim. From behind they don't look all too scary, kinda a little bit comical at first. Then they turn around to reveal a grotesque face belonging to a body trapped within. The straw men patrol around the areas you need to progress through, your salad fingers coming out to let you know you're in danger. You can find and use something to defend yourself, a pitchfork. It's not the best weapon, but it'll have to do. Holding it in front of you and creeping up behind the strawman and charging a strike to hit the fucker for some extra stealth damage. The pitchfork is a bit flimsy though and breaks after a few hits, so you need to keep an eye out for another one or just run for your life. The strawmen usually hit you if you get too close or shoot out this sharp straw that impales and suffocates you if they spot you from range. These are just a few of the threats you need to get past. Others being the invulnerable beekeepers who send swarms of bees to attack you, requiring a pipe and tobacco to smoke in order to dissipate the swarm. In the final segment of the game, you face undead soldiers who chase you and fire from range, which is where the rifle comes into play. A few sneaky shots or some blasts to the face usually deal with these enemies fast. The strongest enemy in the end portion of the game being an unkillable yeti creature that grabs you and impales you on icicles if it finds you. Honestly though, Mundaun isn't an action game. The enemies aren't what you call challenging or seem particularly threatening. I don't think anything even hurt me that much and I didn't even die once. The gun seems to be more of a story tool later on, using Kerbin's grandfather's weapon to fight off the foes he fought in the war. For most of the game you were just running around avoiding things. To get through the different areas of the game you can jump into this strange farm truck. You can tune the radio to the radio frequencies that you find when finding radios. So you have something to listen to in the dreaded silence of the night as you run over all the enemies in the way, making the game even easier. Like I said, this game is more about uncovering the dark secret that Kerbin's grandfather kept from him. The unholy thing that he made a deal with. The old man who waits inside the mountain, trying to get what he is due. Most of the puzzle solving just requires you to backtrack and locate the right objects in the right orders. Finding someone to turn on the power to a ski lift in order to ascend the mountain, finding a sinister pick to destroy paintings, or talking to the decapitated goat's head that you carry around in your bag. Just the usual stuff. It's the little freaky things in the game that give it that charm and the odd atmosphere to it. The radio stations with unsettling choir singers, the strange way you can alter things in the world, painting a bridge to cross it in the real world, the mix of warped perspective and reality tipping everything all strange and topsy-turvy, the supernatural events and powers that alter the world around you, work of the old man, all revolving around an unholy bargain made in the heat of battle during the war way before Kerbin was born. His grandfather's story, a story you need to unravel, an ancient evil you need to defeat, a town that needs to be saved, a child protected, and a grandfather's remains that need to be put to rest. Mundaun is a short and bizarre indie game that works really well for the basic gameplay premise that it follows. The visual style adds this different level to the game, almost hard to even make out what you're looking at times, as well as looking just so damn strange. The international Swiss flavour just made it more interesting and engaging too, as most foreign games do for me. Very much like Amnesia, and as basic as you can get really. Some really creepy voice acting, a wonderfully freaky villain, and an open-ended conclusion. There are, however, 5 different endings to the game though, with crucial choices needing to be made at certain junctures that affect the fate of some of the key characters in the game. I think I wanted to give this game a bit of praise just on how beautifully handcrafted and meticulous the game design was. The sound design and the terrifying atmosphere is done so well, wandering through foggy landscapes or dark, damp labyrinth bunker hallways. The world constantly fooling you with its visual designs and tricks, growing and shrinking hallways, nightmare flashbacks and terrors. You can tell how much care and effort went into making this game, and it pays off, to a degree. I felt like there could have been a little bit more game here. The fact you have a vehicle and can travel a fair ways, the maps are rather tiny. You have heaps of shortcuts and zip lines, all a bit strangely placed in a map so small. It's all very linear when you actually look at the maps, with a lot of paths just looping back on themselves or just terminating at dead ends. Most of the puzzle solving is fairly intuitive, though simple, combining items to use together with an object or just using the visual cues around you to find solutions. Combat, while not the main focus, kind of felt almost pointless. Threat-wise, you aren't in any real danger and you can outrun almost anything. I'm still unsure if I like how the progressive unlocking and introduction of certain mechanics were paced either. Seemed a bit odd to pick up rifle ammo in the first half of the game when you can't even access the rifle. But yeah, I actually thought this game was fairly good for a budget indie game. It's better than I was expecting. Try this game out, you can't really go wrong with it if you are a fan of story-driven horror games. Stunning visuals, creepy and unsettling Swiss folklore-inspired horrors, and a talking goat head. What more can you ask for? Well, that's this indie review done. It's probably not the game you're expecting me to review, but I have to have a little bit more playtime with Monster Hunter Rise before I can even come out with the first impressions for it. Then it's on to my lengthy full review for it, being a while since I've done one of those. Anyway, thanks for watching this quick review. Maybe I have introduced you to a game you may not have even known existed. If you found this game review interesting and liked the video, leave a like and sub, all that jazz helps me out a lot. That's all for now. Gotta go. Take care, and I'll see you all in the next video. Bye guys.